Welcome to the Attractions Group Podcast, episode 11. Episode 11, we got a very special episode for you because it is one of the greatest times of the year. It's Golden Ticket season. Now, the Golden Ticket Awards are a very special award ceremony in the amusement industry. The ceremony is going to be held in San Antonio this year on September 9th through the 10th. The event will welcome the industry with a live ceremony as well as a networking opportunity. The host parks will be Morgan's Wonderland and Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. There's going to be an opening reception on September 9th, and the ceremony where they're going to actually have the awards is going to be on September 10th. So, Don, the Golden Ticket Awards are a big deal.
They are a big deal, Ryan. Amusement Today's Golden Ticket Awards, it honors the best of the best in the attractions industry. It is, very similar to the Golden Globes or an Academy Awards. Industry is represented there. Just a great event Amusement Today has put on.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the Golden Ticket Awards are definitely very special, and it's very near and dear to a lot of people in the industry. Let me ask you this. So how long have the Golden Ticket Awards been around? It hasn't been as long as some people think.
No, Amusement Today, they introduced the Golden Ticket Awards in 1998, and it has taken place every year except for 2020 when, we had the pandemic. But, it has really grown to be almost the event of the year in the attractions industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's like the Golden Globes and it's like the Grammys and everything all put together, and it's very marketable too. So what are some of the categories that parks around the world are typically up for? I know they change
Well, there's so many
sometimes.
different. They do change, but there's so many categories. You have best park, best water park, best marine and wildlife, most beautiful park. There's park of the year. There's the best water ride, best kids area, best Halloween event, best Christmas event, best new show, best food, best new roller coaster or attraction, the best experience, best wooden coasters, best steel coasters. The list just goes on and on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a long list, and we've seen categories added and categories dropped, not unlike the Olympics. Um, so is the voting panel the same every year? I know that they say Amusement Today subscriber. It's Amusement Today magazine that hosts the Golden Ticket Awards, but and then there's other people around the industry. Can you clarify as to who gets to vote on this stuff?
Well, it's not the same panel every year. Today has never had the exact same voters each year. There are people that retire, new people are brought in to vote on these different categories. What Amusement Today, what they typically look for is a common thread. You're trying to find the most experienced and well-traveled, park fans out there. And you also have some suppliers that cover the industry. They also are included in certain categories.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So is it a situation where just like anyone can vote, or do they send out the ballots, or how does it work?
Not everyone can vote. There's normally a group of about 500 or so voters each year, and that's an equal number divided among the 4 geographical regions in the United States. You also have an international segment, so it's pretty well balanced out. About the same number of people in each of those regions and internationally that are voting, so you get a fair kind of vote there. Everyone's kind of experienced parks throughout the world, then when you look at it that way. So there's a lot of coverage there, and it's well represented, and so that really adds a lot of credibility to the voting when it's not an opportunity, where you might have a real strong enthusiast, population, and stacking the ballots, those kind of things. So it's pretty well rounded out.
Right. I mean, voting integrity is obviously very important. So what we're looking back at past winners. And yeah, I was looking at the top 50 wooden roller coasters, and 2 have been in the top 10 every year. One has been Phoenix at Knoebels, which I have not ridden, but I've heard is awesome, and the Beast at Kings Island. What is it about those 2 rides that kept them in the top 10, do you think?
I think there's a couple of different things that would factor into that. One, both are great rides, just terrific wooden roller coasters. The other thing about those 2 is that a lot of people who would be voting, they have ridden these 2 roller coasters. So, they know what they're all about. It's not, just hearing from other people and that might influence your vote. So they have firsthand experience with them. But, both coasters, they withstood the test of time. They're traditional. type wooden coasters. And I think that plays a lot in it. The technology and thing has changed since these rides were, uh, launched. The Beast in 1979, and then the ride at Knoebels with Phoenix. I mean,
Hmm.
that debuted there in 1985. They're traditional. They're everything everyone likes about a wooden roller coaster, and that's why they place in the top 10 every year.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about the consistency. So, okay, here's kind of a funny question for you. So, random example: Zippin' Pippin at Bay Beach in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It tied for 45th amongst wooden coasters. Would you celebrate that if you were Bay Beach? Fun fact: Zippin' Pippin, Elvis's favorite roller coaster. I wanted to beat you to that
I
fan
mean,
fact.
you did beat me to that. Yeah, why not? It's still a top big wooden roller coaster in the world. And that's a pretty big place. You got to have some fun with that. If you were that park and you were to, recognize that, with signage outside the ride, I mean, there's going to be a lot of guests that go there and take, you know, photos of it. So there's going to be that, sharing out there on social media about the ride. And, it makes really, when you say, one of the 45 best in the world, again, I mean, that adds something to it, makes the ride, feel a little bit more special when you're riding it, that it is one of the best that's recognized. So yeah, if I was there, sure, I'd have some fun with that and want to,
I
promote
would
that.
too, but I don't even necessarily think that it would be like a big joke, like, oh, 45th, haha, that's like 44th loser.
No, no, I'm not saying it would be a joke. I'm just saying, I mean, you made the top 50. I mean, there's something to be proud
Well,
about
and
that.
plus,
If
it's
you're in the
like
top 50 in
there's
anything,
first of all, if you're 45th out of thousands of roller coasters, that's pretty good. And secondly, if
right?
you're marketing this, then people are going to assume that it's a big deal. That's my thought with
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, but it is a big deal if you're in the top 50 in any kind of voting around. Just pick any industry in your top 50. I mean, you're proud about
so you're
that.
saying like Ohio is a top 50 state in the United States? Would you rank it there?
Sure, Ryan.
Okay,
Sure.
cool. All right. Well, Fury 325 at Carowinds, Millennium Force, to your point, have held down the top two seats for top 50 steel coasters for quite a while. What do you think it's about? That's about those that really kind of gets them to the top. Because what's interesting about this is that Millennium Force was the number one, hands down, for years, and Fury took that right away from it. But it seems like both coasters have their loyalists amongst the enthusiasts. What are your thoughts with that?
Well, again, both terrific roller coasters. I think when you look at like Millennium Force, it's a destination for a coaster, enthusiasts, thrill seekers. They're going to go to Cedar Point. It's been out there 22 years now. So it's got worldwide recognition. Everybody knows, what that ride is and what it's about and what the thrill is. So yeah, I mean, it's going to continue to rank high. And Fury, it came in 2015. Hit the ground since, and both these parks are um, accessible. They're not out in the boondocks or anything like that anywhere. So they're both, accessible for, a lot of the would vote, uh, to get to those parks, experience these attractions. And, and they deserve the rankings that they have as one of the top, one, two, three, wherever they may fall this year. They're going to, you know, they deserve that distinction to be a top 10 steel roller coaster.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. I haven't been on Fury, but of course, that's everybody's favorite coaster nowadays. But I have been on Millennium Force several times, and that ride is it's got something special to it. I'll tell you that much. Being on the beach and
Yeah, and when these rides open, you got to remember when these two coasters open too. I mean, Millennium Force. I mean, that set a new threshold for steel coasters for height, speed, all those kind of things. And Fury, with its height, speed, they were among the most talked about new attractions when they opened, and they continue to be among the most talked about attractions today. So, that's a big reason why they rank as high as they do annually.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that they were probably Millennium Force was probably the most talked about attraction until Top Thrill Dragster. So it's Cedar Point kind of killing their own fire with more fire. But when Fury came out, Fury is the advantage of Fury is that there was 20 years of development between the two, so that's why it's able to be maybe a better ride. I don't want to make that assertion because I haven't ridden it, but it's Anyone who's ridden it's one of their top three. I'll tell you that much. Um,
Yeah.
so does it help to like, let's say like if Ace has Coaster Con or something at your park, does that help with the voting? Like, let's say you're opening a new ride, you host Coaster Con. Um, do you are those is that a big garnerment of votes, or like does that not affect anything, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it certainly enhances it a little bit. What you're doing when you have these national events, like if Ace has their summer convention at your park or have a park sponsored event, you get a little bit outside your backyard with who's coming to this event. You get maybe, 30, 40, um, percent of the country is represented at your event. So the word travels then a little bit further than just your little region there that you're located in. So let's say you're on the East Coast, you have an event, people from the West Coast come out there and ride these roller coasters that you have and experience the other attractions. Yeah, for sure, it's going to help because people start to talk, they share their experiences on social media, so the awareness just grows by having these kind of events. So it certainly doesn't hurt. Definitely does not hurt.
Yeah, I mean, so uh, does Ace will Ace and like major coaster clubs like Ace, do they represent a fair amount of the voting structure? Do you think?
Not necessarily, no. But what it does is a lot of the attendees of these events, they do know the people who do vote, and word travels. Those who do have a vote, they follow people on social media, and they see all the rave reviews of these different
Right.
attractions, not just the roller coasters, but we're talking food, shows, everything else, and uh, it kind of shapes the perception of what these attractions are about.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I guess that is the influence. I mean, again, how many people do you think have Fury listed as their favorite coaster that haven't ridden it? Just because everybody's like, dude, you gotta ride that. I bet it's a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would say it's their most desired coaster. I don't think anyone will put it on the ones that do their list. They're not going to put a coaster that they haven't ridden on their top,
No, I'm not. I'm
10,
not necessarily
top
saying
15
like
list. They're not
like a coaster enthusiast, but I'm saying like the average person that's
like a voter.
well, no, yeah, maybe the voter, but I'm saying the average person that's just aware that there are other parks outside of their home park. They may be like, that's the best coaster on earth just because I heard that.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
I think that
yeah. I
may
think that
influence the
plays
voting.
into it. It does. It does play into it. And a lot of these, Millennium Force, Fury 325, they get on those national shows too, the Travel Channel, those kind of things, and that just really, enhances the awareness for those coasters.
I think that the for me, talking about Millennium Force, because I've got an all new respect for Millennium Force because when I rode that the first time in like 2007 or so, I was kind of disappointed. I guess I just went in not knowing what to expect, and in the past like 3 years, I've just come to love it. But I think that one of the things that makes that ride attractive, as far as being dominating and memorable and stuff, is the way that it looks. Like that power line looking structure, as I like to call it, is very iconic. You could see anybody that knows anything about coasters can see just the lift hill and know what ride that is. So I think that
Yeah, and
might
it's
have something to do with its lasting, which is deserved. I'm not putting anything down about it, but I don't know. I've got a new respect for it now that I've ridden it more. I love how the
yeah, and there's a
speed
little
and
bit more to that ride than just the ride itself. I mean, there's also, the surrounding area. You're going up that lift hill and you look out to your left and there's all that
yeah.
water, out there. I mean, you can't beat the views. And so that's another thing that I think plays into it as well, that, it's more than just a great steel roller coaster. There's also, the visual aspect of it.
Yeah, I think Cedar Point definitely has a running head start with a lot of these coasters because a lot of the people that I've talked to, like before I ever rode Valraven, it wasn't even so much about the ride. It was, you should see Lake Erie from the top of that. Because and I'm sure they designed it that way, but you can just see for 10, 15 miles out onto Lake Erie from the top. And I think that as far as like a de facto coaster element, adds a lot to the ride. I really think it does. All right.
It does.
So, so the Golden Ticket Awards are, September 9th and 10th, which is what, Friday and Saturday, I'm guessing, this week, 2022.
A Friday and Saturday.
Awesome.
Yes. Yep.
So, obviously, there's a networking event and stuff, but the average person doesn't get to go, but they are streaming it online. So if you look at Amusement Today, are they doing it on YouTube this year? They used to just do it through their website, but
I'm not sure if it's going to be on YouTube or just their website, but there's also other people that will be streaming it live, so it's going to be out there. I would recommend that whatever channel Amusement Today does it through, that's the one that you're following. But there's a number of people that are also going to be streaming it, so it won't be hard to watch. And it's not open to the public, so you really have to be part of the industry or a supplier or
right.
a journalist to attend this event. But it's certainly time to watch it and just see how well done it is. I mean, Gary Slade, Tim Baldwin, and the list goes on and on from Amusement Today. I mean, they were a spectacular event.
I'd love to attend someday. Have you ever been before to the actual ceremony?
I have,
Where
I
at
have been,
Holiday World
and
or?
there, and also like Dollywood. I've been when it's been there. So yeah, I've been there multiple times, and just a fantastic event from the night before to the all the way through the ceremony, and then the post ceremony
That's awesome.
activities.
Yeah, it's I really like the Golden Ticket Awards. I don't always agree with the voting, but I mean that's the nature of voting. But I always like it. I'm always rooting for my favorites, my home park, and we've talked about it. There's always a lot of factors. You can have the best new ride of 2022, but if it opens in July, then not enough people have ridden it to vote for it. That's just the fact of it. But um, yeah, definitely really cool. So just check it out. More information on amusementtoday.com. You can actually look up archival all the way back to 1998 as to who won what in the different categories and stuff. Um, One thing that I'm kind of excited about with like when we go down to IAPA is that if we go to Universal, because we're kind of toying with that idea, they used to have a category for best restaurant, and Mythos at Universal at Islands of Adventure that used to win it every single year, hands down. And you and I have a mutual friend named Alex who used to always order the swordfish there. Now, Don, how many times have you gone to the theme park and ordered the swordfish?
Oh my gosh, let me see here. There's 0
Yeah,
times.
yeah, it's not like it's a Bucky's or something where you can trust the swordfish. That's very exciting. By the way, so wanted to fully disclose.
No, but you know what? Let's talk about this for a second, though. Okay, Swordfish, Universal, and that's something for Alex that has made Universal memorable for him. So it's not just about the rides and the shows and those kind of things. He's also thinking about the food. He's thinking about the swordfish that he had.
Exactly. In the restaurant, think of it as like have you ever eaten there before?
Oh yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
Mythos is like a really nice restaurant. I would say not necessarily dress up or anything, but like PF Chang's, like kind of like a higher than an Applebee's, but lower than like a 5 star. It's a restaurant like that. It's really nice on the inside. It's got fountains and stuff on the inside, but it's full of sweaty tourists. So it's definitely fun. So for those of you who haven't seen it, it's across from Poseidon's Fury and Islands of Adventure. But that's neither here nor there. By the way, I was trying to get at this before, but I talked a couple times about streaming live during the Golden Ticket Awards. Unfortunately, we don't have a good way of doing that, so I think I got a little bit ahead of the carriage for that one. So we're gonna try to do that maybe next year, but this year we're gonna do the preview show, and we'll review some of the awards that were handed out if there's any shockers next week on the show. Um, so Don, we had a couple things tweeted at us this week. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Well, one of the things that the Attractions Group podcast Twitter asked was, and I thought it was a great question that was thrown out there, was what differentiates a good amusement theme park from a great. And I thought the responses were, people brought up some great points.
I completely agree. So a lot of them were. Let me pull up the actual tweet itself because we had some very good ones. But some of the questions that I have as a follow up are kind of like, people were listing a lot of things, and then it's like, are these mutually exclusive or not? Because it's we had some people that were saying a great theme, great storytelling, that sort of stuff. But can you have a great park with only having a great theme and not telling a great story, or can you tell a great story without a great theme? So like Arthur Levine said, a commitment to great storytelling, adherence to theme, delicious, creative, and unique foods that is presented with exceptional customer service, good value, and the list goes on. And I think that's true. So my question I pose to you, Don, is can any one of those outshine the other and make a great park, or do you need to have a lot of hats on?
Well, I think you need to be pretty well balanced. I mean, you just can't have one thing that's going to dominate for you to be considered a great park. I think it always, for me, it always starts with the
Mm,
associates. Your park is only going to be as good as the people operating it, and they're the ones that touch every point. So whether you're coming, your first touch points coming through the parking tolls, the admissions booth, you're going to encounter, associates on the midways. You're going to go see them in the shops, the restaurants, the rides, the attractions. So I think parts there that to be great, your associates have to be great. So it really starts there, and then everything else kind of comes together after that. But the dining experience needs to be good. To great. The ride experience good to great. The live entertainment needs to be good to great. So all those things come to, so at the end of the day, your score, if you're keeping score, would determine what's the difference between a good and a great park.
yeah, it's funny. I don't know much about NASCAR, but one thing that's always kind of rung with me, and I don't even know if this is true anymore, is, I was asking my friends that are just really into that stuff, like, so how many races do you have to win to like get the cup? And they were like, well, it's not about winning the race; it's about consistently finishing in the top. It's top 10 or so. So I think that the same thing could be true for theme parks. You don't have to have the world's great. You don't have to have a Fury Millennium Force. You just got to have a really good ride. You don't have to have
Right, and
a mythos but you have to have food that's consistent and good. And you don't have to have Disney level theming, but you do have to have theming that kind of corresponds and shows that you care, and it's well maintained and stuff. And you don't have to have Dollywood level shows, but you do have to have shows that are people come in and they sit down and watch them and they think, I'm glad I spent the time. I wasn't just sitting here to be in the air conditioning.
yeah, and the other thing on top of that, like I'm going to take my own experience here. Like I mentioned, it comes down to like the associates. That's the starting point. That's one of the first things I notice is, all the different associates that they have working there and how that impacts the operations of everything. But for me also is, what makes a great park is, did it take you away from, the everyday? Did it put you in a different world? Kind of a thing. That's where like the theming, the storytelling, and all of that comes into play as well too. So there's a lot of different factors that go into it, but you referenced NASCAR. I think that's a perfect thing
Hmm.
that you don't have to win every race, but if you get enough points in all the other categories, you're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that the question that I asked would be kind of tantamount to somebody that's asking us, like, so how good of a roller coaster do you have to have the greatest park in the world? And it's like, well, you can have you can have Velocicoaster times 5, Iron Gwazi times 10, and if the rest of your park is just that, then the park isn't great. The ride's great. But you mentioned like taking things out of this world, and it's funny how the balance has to act, because on one hand you're telling me you got to take people out of this world and into the theme park world, but on the other hand we had an episode a couple months ago about using a mobile app. So it's funny how you have to walk that line in terms of you know no, put down your phone, enjoy
Yeah,
the moment. On the other hand, like, use your phone as a utility.
yeah. You talk about having a great roller coaster. I'm not going to name the park, but in 1984, I went to a park, and uh, the roller coaster phenomenal. One of the best roller coasters I've ever ridden. But everything else about that park was not good. It was a hassle getting in. It was a hassle trying to get a meal. It was a hassle buying a ticket. Just everything about it was not fun. But the roller coaster phenomenal. But in the overall picture, when I'm thinking about some of my best memories of going to parks, that was just because everything else brought down the experience on that roller coaster for me. So
Yeah.
I think, to me, I think you have to at least grade out good in every category to be great.
And what's funny though is one thing that I think that nobody would ever think of, but I would think of because this is how my mind works, is the amount of shade in a park. I think really affects things, because if you how many times have people gone to Disney or Universal? And it's like, so let's say straight up, they're gonna have a wonderful experience there. They're gonna have a great theme, great rides, great associates. Up there amongst like some of the best parks. But what they talk about is it was 100 degrees down there in Orlando. So I think that taking considerations for the people in the park really plays a factor in it. Because I can tell you that there have been parks that I've gone to that are just like little parks that don't offer a lot, but it happens to be a random 71-degree day and it's cool out, and I feel like I'm having way more fun than I actually am because I'm used to being sweaty and dripping and stuff, but I'm actually really comfortable. So I don't know, lots of different stuff. I guess you could put that under the category of design of the park and consideration for the guests and stuff like that. Well, another thing that speaking of our Twitter, attractions_GRP, by the way, we forgot to say that. We tweeted out asking for a question. We only got one, and it's from Donnie Lakes. And he wants to know what goes into special events at a park, such as an anniversary, festival, like Halloween stuff, Christmas stuff. What are your thoughts on that? If you were to bucket list something like that.
Well, planning. I mean, it has to be well planned to pull off a great event. You have to have the right people that are putting those events together in your entertainment, decor teams, those kind of things. So, um, those two go hand in hand there. But really, you have to, you just can't throw something out there and hope it works. You have to really spend a lot, planning the event, coming up with ways to, where's it going to fit into the marketing plan. So it's just a lot involved. Um, besides just the event itself, discussions.
So let me ask you this. I had something that kind of comes to mind is, and this completely ties back to the great theme park question is, you can have an event like there were some, well, let's just say because they're gone. So Paramount Parks had Winterfest, in 2005, sorry. Everything in Winterfest was really cool. The tree lighting was cool. It had pyro. Their show was cool. They had like a light up tree thing before anybody else had that. But at the same time, the event felt like there was nothing to do because there wasn't enough to do. So you felt like you went there and it's you can do everything in the first 2 hours, and then why did I spend this money? How do you make that determination? Like, how do you look at this stuff and be like, okay, whether there's 10,000 people in the gates or 30,000 people in the gates, there's going to be enough stuff to do to occupy 5 hours or however long the event lasts.
Yeah, I think you just have to, know and understand your audience and who's coming to your park. What type of activities do you need? Have families with young children, you can't have all thrill in your park, so you have to kind of balance it out to make sure there's something for everyone that walks through the gate and that they enjoy. That may be the food, that may be the shows, that may be the rides, that may be some of those additional different, activities and experiences. But when you're planning these events, you have to look at it and say, okay, there's got to be something for everyone's going to be coming through the gates that, there's something that they're going to find that they enjoy and that they're going to want to do over and over again too.
Yeah, and I guess there's probably a factor in that involving the time it takes to do it. So, if you've got a half-hour show, you're going to commit 35 to 45 minutes to that. But also, it's like you have to make that determination. Like, how long is somebody really going to look around our artisan village? I think it would be very difficult to be like, oh, for that extra 2.5 hours, they can go shopping or whatever. There's probably a lot more formulaic stuff as far as making the determination of, under the other category, how much time it takes up. Because you also don't necessarily want to have it so there's too much stuff to do because people will feel undervalued. Like, I spent $45 and I didn't get to do everything. People have to be able to do, you want to agree on 80% of the attractions or so at an event?
I don't know that I want to put a percentage, on what that would be, but you do want to have, again, like something for everyone. You want there to be, value that they feel that it was worth their time when they came there,
Mm-hmm.
and whether that shows or the crafts, the shopping, You just need to make it an immersive experience. Now, you go back to these winter events. It started obviously at Kings Island back in 1982 with Winterfest, but then other chains started doing different winter events as
Right.
well. But you also see now when they all first start open, you had
Right.
maybe your carousel, maybe a train ride. Um, but as time went on, so there are now some roller coasters that operate during these events. There's more flat rides that are open during these events, and those are the kind of learnings that you have over the years that it can't just be a walk around experience. You have to have some other things, some components of it that your park's known for, that guests still want to come and do.
Yeah, and I think that another good example, because I mean, you're talking about the evolution of the event based on just what you learned over the course of time, is um, I feel like most chains for Halloween events are not doing as many houses, but doing a lot more environment stuff. That's an observation I've had because I remember when a local park did 13 haunted houses, and it's kind of like, why not do seven that are great rather than 13 that are okay? But a lot more, nowadays with the technology, with the lighting and the fog and stuff like that, that's progressed so far. Like, I would bank on that because I think a lot of people come for the rides too during those things. So it's important to have the rides open. So to have a cool environment, like, this is Six Flags Fiesta Texas, but it's also definitely Halloween. Is
Yeah,
I think that's a really good balance to have.
yeah. I mean, it's gone from you know the quantity to quality. When you're looking at those indoor, outdoor maze type attractions throughout the industry. I mean, it was, that number 13 always played into like the Halloween event,
Right.
those kind of things. And, that was kind of the magic number that a lot of parks tried to get to. But, it's better to have 4 or 5 really good ones than, 10 or so okay ones.
Right. Well, and
It does come down to
13,
the
I think the
atmosphere.
intention also with 13, not just playing off of like Friday the 13th and stuff, is that the more houses you have, that's more people in line and that's dispersing the crowd because there's no denying that it disperses crowds. A new ride or anything does it too. If you're at Cedar Point and Millennium Force goes down for the day, it makes every line 15 minutes longer because all those people have to go somewhere. But so with having 13 houses, I think the intention was, to make it so it's more of a 20 to 25 minute wait than it is an hour. Um, but again, with the environmental stuff, when the houses aren't as important, it kind of plays the same tune as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, for me when I've gone around to different parks for the Halloween season, I like, just that immersive experience, just walking around. I can have as much fun with the atmosphere and having the scare actors and things on the roamers and the creepers and that on the streets as I could going through a maze. So to me, it's just, from the time that you come through the front gate, you're immersed in this experience. And whether you're going through mazes or you're not, you're part of it. So I think parks that find a way to do that have been the Halloween events that I've enjoyed the
I
most.
agree. And sometimes even like visual stuff can be a huge attraction. Like I went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Florida several years ago, and they did projection mapping on those fake facade buildings to make them look like they were falling and stuff, and like that was so cool. Like even if I didn't get to go through any houses, just seeing something so cool like that would have been kind of an experience in itself. My understanding, they didn't have it the year I was there, but the year before they had it, so they had stuntmen dressed as like vampires and stuff on some sort of rigging, and they could jump between the rooftops and stuff. Like, how cool is that? You're not in a haunted house. They have great haunted houses, of course, but you're not in a haunted house. But seeing something like that, that's really special. You know.
Right, and it makes it with those kind of things. But appreciate the question there about that, and we want the show to be more interactive. So definitely give us a follow on Twitter. It's attractions_GRP, and we are at I think 81 followers going into today. We wanted to get to 100, and I'll start giving away some of my theme park memorabilia. Once we get to 100, I'll just randomly select a couple of winners there. But again, give us a follow. Send us some questions. We want to make it interactive. We want you to be part of this
Yeah,
show.
we're actually at 83. So we're a little bit closer to cleaning out Miss Helbig's garage so she can finally park her car in there, and get rid of some of your stuff.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. It's we're in September, so it's not gonna be long before we get. I need to clear up some space so we can park the cars in there.
Yeah.
But Ryan, take a little bit of a different spin this week on our pick six. We normally talk about different things going on around the industry, but in honor of Amusement Today's Golden Ticket Awards, let's each come up with three different categories that aren't really part of the voting that we'd like to see added as a category.
as
You'll go
as
first.
part of. We skipped the Pick Six intro one time last week because we do it in person and you completely forget that we have it. All right. Okay. So, as Don was saying, that we're each going to pick three subject matters that we think could be cool Golden Ticket Award winners from, if Amusement Today ever listens to this podcast and decides to do it. You said you wanted me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
I think that a really good Golden Ticket winner would be a best social media presence. So I feel like there is everywhere between non-existent and great in the theme park industry. We've got some that are just, you could write books about how to do the social. If you're talking about blogs, tweet up, stuff like that. That is something that when we talk about mentorship and stuff like that in the industry, if you could get yourself paired up with somebody that just really nails the social media and understands the psychology behind it, I think that would be a really, really cool category.
All right. For me, how about best mobile app experience? Everybody has that mobile device now. They're using mobile apps. So which has the best mobile app experience?
Well, I also had best mobile app. I think that's awesome. I think that right now the apps are so standard because Six Flags has an app and Cedar Fair has an app and stuff, and it's basically the same throughout the chain. But I think something like this might drive differentiation. Because if you're at you're at Holiday World and they say download the best app in the industry, you might want to check that out. Then you get your sales message and stuff. So I really like that. I wish they would do that. All right. So a number 3 category that I have down is best website. Because we've seen everything
Okay.
from GeoCities all the way up to interactive and fun and stuff. But I think that it would be best website from the standard of, from the industry standard. Like how easy is it to purchase tickets? How well does it display your deals? How well does it drive engagement and things of that sort?
Okay. Yeah. Good point there. I think that would be a valid, category to add, and everybody's using every to, you're buying your tickets and everything in advance, if not through the website, through the mobile app. So I think we have two categories here, Ryan, that would merit consideration to be added to
Right.
my next one. I want to come back into the park experience itself, and I'm going to go with best night ride. There's a lot of rides out there that during the day it might be a ho-hum experience, but you get to the night, it's a whole different animal out there. So best night ride experience would be a category I'd like to see added.
Yeah. Well, and it's we see that with the debut of rides that they often put out nighttime POVs and stuff because, I mean, if you think about it, we've talked about how keeping people in the park and drives per capita spending. So, with fireworks shows at night and so on, that's all a good, valid reason. But if it's like, dude, you got to ride Phoenix at night, that's going to keep somebody around because there's no way to do that during the day unless you close your eyes, I suppose. So that's a really good one. So one category that I had is, and this would be kind of splintering off of previous categories, is best seasonal event. So they do best Halloween, they do best Christmas, but when we're talking, I would say we would be pitting Carnival against Mardi Gras and stuff like that, where it's like we're a 2-week limited run, that kind of thing. Because I feel like if you have the best one, then that would be marketable, and I think it should be recognized because I feel like core season stuff doesn't get core season unique stuff doesn't get the praise that it should have during the golden tickets. because there's
Hmm.
always the best Halloween, there's always best Christmas, but something during the course season I think would be kind of cool.
Okay, so for number five for me, I'm going to go with, they have the Golden Ticket Award for best new roller coaster, best new. How about best marketing campaign for a new attraction?
Ooh, I like that. Or even you could go as far as like a teaser campaign, because if you're having,
Yeah, exactly.
because there's no denying that there is an enthusiast aspect to it, and that's who you're marketing to with a teaser. I really like that idea. What do you so we've talked about this before, but what do you think makes for a great teaser campaign for a new attraction?
I think if you got the interest of your audience, if they're talking about it and they're speculating, and you're seeing that on fan sites, social, about the different things that you're putting out there as your teasers, then that's going to be successful. If no one's talking about you, then you really didn't do anything to prompt that interest and awareness, and for what you're ready to announce.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I love nowadays with social media, if you put like a some orange spray paint on the ground, it's making the rounds. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
So if you actually put up a
I know
teaser
that very well.
campaign, it's got to go pretty far. Because again, there's a lot of instances, and we've discussed this in the past, where people know quite a bit. They're all smart marks now, where they know what you're adding and they know a lot about it, but they don't necessarily know the theme and the color and the name and stuff like that. So that's where the teaser stuff comes in, as far as I'm concerned.
Mhm.
Okay, so you stepped on my toes with the best mobile app. So I've got to kind of pick one off the top of my head. Um, I would say cleanest restrooms. And I mean that honest to God, because that comes up. In fact, uh, there are there have been times when I've been saying like, "Oh, I'm going to this park," and they're like, "Okay, we'll avoid these restrooms; they're disgusting." So for those of you who are listening that are in the ecology side of things, like people do pay attention. Um, what are your thoughts on that, Don? Like, because I feel like having a clean restroom implies a clean kitchen. That's always something that's kind of struck with me.
You know what? That is a category that, when we were talking about doing this as our pick six, that, it did cross my mind about that. I think that it impacts every guest experience that comes to a park. They're all going to um, be able to talk about which ones were good, which ones weren't, those kind of
Yeah.
things. So yeah, I think it's a valid category. And although they're not an amusement theme park, they're not in the attractions industry. If you were to add these people to the list,
Mm.
Bucky's,
God, I didn't realize I was setting you up for that.
hands down, hands down, the cleanest restrooms I've ever seen. You can eat off the floor, place.
Don, if we ever go somewhere and we pass a Bucky's, I'm gonna make you eat off the floor of the restaurant just to prove it, and I will live stream it. No, but Bucky's really does have.
I'm confident. I'm confident enough in what those have looked like the times that I've gone to Bucky's, that yeah, I'd be willing to try it, Ryan.
For Bucky's, like the restroom. For me, I feel like the most guaranteed cleanest restrooms are at rest stops. Like I don't know if everyone's had that experience, but if you stop at a gas station, you can be like, no, I'm not gonna use that. But the rest stops, like at least through Ohio, are always really really clean. And Bucky's is like that clean plus a little bit more, plus the restrooms are way nicer. So I guess
Yeah,
you would
yeah,
probably
but
need that
just to
if you
backtrack
eat their
real quick,
brisket
yeah, back
sandwich.
to our industry real quick, is that I mean, I've gone to just lots of parks, and I'd say for the most part, most of them do a really, really good keeping the restrooms clean.
Yeah, I mean,
And you're talking
I've said
thousands
this
of people
before.
every day,
My
so yeah.
first ever job was at McDonald's when I was 15, and I like I remember like my first day. I was little 15-year-old Ryan, and the manager was training me, and she was like, "Now make sure that you clean up every little thing on the floor and every single table and every single this, every single that." And she's like, you know why that's important? I was like, well, you want to have the restaurant clean. She's like, right, but if people see that and if they see that their restrooms are dirty and that's somewhere they can see, their imagination goes wild for where they can't see. So if your restrooms are clean, if your midways are clean, if your trash cans are changed, I'm gonna trust that your kitchens are pretty clean too. And I think that mentally everybody does that.
Hmm.
Do you have a pick left, or is that
Well, this
it?
is a fun episode, Ryan. What was that? No, that's
Whoa,
it. Yeah, this is a fun episode.
cool. Well, Gary Slade, if you listen to us, then tweet at us and let us know which one of these categories you want to pick for next year's Golden Ticket Awards. Awesome. Well, okay, as Don stated earlier, we are up to, what is it, 83, I believe, Twitter followers. Yeah, so at 100, Don's going to start giving away stuff to random people, and then we'll do some where we go on live on YouTube, and we'll do trivia questions or something fun like that, so Don can have his garage sale like he needs. But we appreciate the interaction everyone's had. But people have been reacting really well on Twitter recently. We want to have this show so you guys learn what you want to learn and ask us what you want to ask us, and that sort of stuff. So thank you so much for that. Again, 83 followers. We're at attractions_GRP. If you want to join in the real fun and see our pretty noggins, then look for the Attractions group on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe there because we're going to start going live there and start giving away stuff. So, Don, any final words of advice coming out of this Labor Day weekend?
It's every year it just amazes me how fast summer flies
Oh,
by,
I
and
know.
here we are now. It's ready for the fall season. So get out to your parks and enjoy those Halloween events,
Yeah.
and that's a quick season too. Usually it's 6 to 8 weeks for all the parks that they're doing these Halloween events. But get out, experience them. Go have fun.
Yeah, now that my local park has the Christmas event, I'm finally at the mentality where when daily operations ends, that's like the midpoint of the season, you know? Because it used to be I would start to get bummed out around like 4th of
Yeah,
July, knowing that like, hey, there's only a few more weeks of this. Because you're right, it does go fast. But now, like, I mean, the winter stuff is so cool, and the Halloween stuff is so cool that I kind of look forward to the right half of the season. Cool, awesome, yeah. Go out there and enjoy the parks, Don. Happy Labor Day weekend. We will be back.
you too, Ryan. And
Yeah, we'll be back this week. We kind of
yeah,
screwed up our schedule because Don had fantasy football draft or something like that when we were supposed to
I
record.
did fantasy football draft.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're gonna record again probably this week. So if you're gonna consider this a Sunday as part of the following week, then we'll have 2 episodes this week. But thank you again for listening. Remember, at attractions_GRP. Follow us on your favorite YouTube apps or follow us on your favorite podcast apps, and look for us on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. So thank you guys so much. Have a good long weekend, and we will see you this coming week.